What's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey Podcast, episode number 3. We're going to be taking a look at some controversy here on the channel. I did an upload earlier this week, which is causing a little bit of a storm on YouTube. We'll be taking a look at that. We're going to look at the retro reverse jerseys. I'm going to leave my projections for what I think each team will do for their jerseys based off of what Adidas Hockey released the other day, as well as the latest on the Dallas Stars. A couple of things in Dallas Stars news. The loss of Big Ben Bishop as well as Tyler Seguin. How will that affect their lineup? A couple of RFAs, they signed some of their contracts, and a couple ELCs have been signed. A couple of guys that were drafted this year getting their entry-level contracts. We'll be taking a look at all of that in today's podcast. Let's get right into it. All right, so we're going to start things off looking at some controversy on the channel for the first time. Now, this was a little bit of a social experiment I did on YouTube. First off, I wanted to see how angry I can make people, and it worked quite well. And I don't know if a lot of you even know what I'm talking about yet, because you may not have watched that video. But I talked about the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I've been getting lots of feedback on that video where I talked about the Toronto Maple Leafs potentially missing the playoffs in the 2021 NHL season. Now, it's a little bit of a long shot, I'll admit that, but I knew that a team like Toronto, where we know the fan base is quite large, they are very passionate, hardcore fans, which I appreciate, and that's actually one of the reasons I like the Toronto Maple Leafs, despite what many of them think I think of the Maple Leafs. It's been one of my best videos over the past 2 weeks. The most comments I've ever gotten on a video in this short of a time, which I guess is pretty cool. And the Maple Leafs have become, I guess you could say, they see me as an enemy, which I don't know if I like that too much, but listen, I'll take what I can get, right? So I just want to address that real quick. The Maple Leafs video, like I said they would miss the playoffs, and based off of some of the moves they've made this offseason, I think they have the potential to regress. I did not exactly say that they are going. I believe they could miss the playoffs. Based off of how that division is lined up, we've seen the parity of today's NHL. There's no guarantee that one team will or will not make the playoffs next year. Perfect example, a couple years ago, the Los Angeles Kings won the Stanley Cup. They missed the playoffs the next season. Okay? So, nothing is guaranteed. The Blackhawks, they won their Stanley Cups. Since that last Stanley Cup they won, they have not won a playoff round. So, that's just kind of how this works. I think people are a little bit crazy. I mean, listen, I'm going to sit here as an Islander fan and say I don't think it's guaranteed the Islanders make the playoffs next year either. I mean, let's just be honest. The way today's NHL is built, but I knew that video would get traffic, and I got exactly what I wanted. So, guys, if you did not check out that video, make sure to check it out. Make sure to check out the comments, because it is quite hilarious, actually. And obviously, don't come back at these guys. Don't comment at them, because they're just stating their opinion, and that's fine. I appreciate that, because it drives more traffic to my channel. So they're actually doing me a favor, which is quite nice. But with that out of the way, let's get into this week's podcast, which I have plenty of things to talk about. Last week, we didn't have a ton to talk about. Actually, I'm going to change the lighting, because that's probably going to mess you guys all up. There we go. All right, so let's get into it. So we're going to start things off. The restricted free agent signings over the past week. We're going to start things off up in New York with the New York Rangers' Brendan Lemieux signing a 2-year, $3.1 million contract to stay with the New York Rangers. I think this is a great signing for the New York Rangers. I mean, Brendan Lemieux is a bottom 6 player at this point. The Rangers have continued to build up their top 6. So the thought of Brendan Lemieux being a legit player, he's for that contract at $1.6 million per season for the next 2 years, is a steal. That's a great contract for the Rangers. It's a good contract for Brendan Lemieux, a guy that, like I said, he plays in the bottom six. He's not anything crazy. He's not this superstar talented player, but again, the Rangers like those guys. He's only 24 years old. He just signed that contract. Like, this is a good deal for the Rangers. And like I said, as long as he continues to stay healthy over the next 2 years, he has the potential to maybe become that Tom Wilson-esque player. I don't think he's as talented as Tom Wilson. Unfortunately, because of the Rangers' superstars that they have added over the past couple of years in Kakko and Lafreniere, unfortunately, he takes away a spot from him in the top six to get to that potential. But I really like what we've seen from Brendan Lemieux. As much as I hate him as an Islander fan, he is a good, respectable player. He is going to be a restricted free agent, though, at the end of the 2023 NHL season. But he is going to be a legit piece of the Rangers over the next couple of years. And at 1.5 per season, that's a steal for the Rangers. Another guy we have to look at, Roope Hintz of the Dallas Stars signs a little contract here. He signs a 3-year, $9.45 million contract. Roope Hintz. He's been playing with the Dallas Stars. He's one of those guys, again, he's a left winger, former 2015 second round pick. He's only 23 years old. The Finnish native. He's a solid player for the Dallas Stars. And this is a guy that they need to rely on moving forward. Guys like Roope Hintz. Now, the problem with this Stars team is they have lacked that forward depth. That's what's hurt them over the past couple of seasons. And now that they have a guy like Roope Hintz, a guy like Denis Gurianov, now that we're seeing those guys start to develop, it's really making the Dallas Stars a more legit team. And you look what he did last season. 33 points during the regular season, 13 points in their Stanley Cup final cup run that they went on this past year. He's a good player, and I think the Dallas Stars are hoping he could stay with them for the next couple years. He signs a 3-year deal. He's got a little bit of security under him the next couple years, and he gets a pretty nice dollar value per season at a little over $3 million per. A good contract for him, and a good contract for the Dallas Stars. I like this deal from both sides. We'll see how Roope Hintz looks in another couple years when he's just getting into his prime. Does that number go up? And I think it will. I'm confident in Roope Hintz. He's a solid player. If he continues to play in the top six, where he's at with the Dallas Stars, he has the potential to really make some money in his next contract. Entry-level contracts. We're done with the RFAs this week. It's been a little bit slower, but I think we can expect that to pick up again next week. We're going to look at some entry-level contracts, ELCs, that have been signed. A pair up in Anaheim, as the Anaheim Ducks have signed 2 of their first-round picks in this year's draft. Bob Murray has been busy with that. Signing centerman Jacob Perreault, 2020 first-round pick, 27th overall. Jacob Perreault is a good pickup for the Ducks, and I thought they would maybe go with another defenseman, based off of them going with Jamie Drysdale, but they decided to go with a forward, which I think, based off of some of the centers they already have, Trevor Zegras, Terry, Steele, you go up and down that list. They have some really talented forwards that they've added. So adding Perreault to that just adds another piece into the fold for them. He's been playing with the Sarnia Sting of the OHL the past 2 seasons, put up 25 points, 31 points in consecutive seasons. He is a legit player, and I think the Anaheim Ducks will let him continue to develop. But I really like what we've seen so far from Jacob Perreault. Hopefully he continues that moving forward with the Anaheim Ducks. Now we look at their 6th overall pick in the 2020 NHL Draft in the first round. Jamie Drysdale, projected to be the top defenseman in this year's draft. It didn't end up being that way, as the Ottawa Senators picked Jake Sanderson just ahead of Jamie Drysdale. But he is the top right shot defenseman in this year's draft class. The Toronto native has played in the OHL with the Erie Otters the past 2 seasons, putting up 40 points and 47 points in consecutive seasons. This is a solid defenseman, and I think a lot of people, someone commented the other day, they think Jamie Drysdale will be the better defenseman long term, but right out of the gate, Jake Sanderson is more well equipped for the NHL going into his NHL career. You're going to see more of a Sanderson going like this. Drysdale will be a little bit more upward, but it takes longer for him to get there. So I think there's a lot of hype around Jamie Drysdale. He's going to be on an Anaheim Ducks team where we've seen that coaching staff has done a very good job at developing defensemen. Hampus Lindholm, Cam Fowler, Josh Manson, Brandon Montour, some of these guys that we're continuing to see come up the ladder in Anaheim. This is a good spot. Jacob Larson. Jamie Drysdale will get an opportunity with this team, I think, next year. I don't know if he's ready to go into the NHL this season. I think we're going to see him spend another year in Erie with the Erie Otters, and he will become a full-time member of the Anaheim Ducks in the 2022 NHL season. Expect Jamie Drysdale to be wearing the black and gold with the Anaheim Ducks. So the other contract we saw signed on an entry-level deal was the 10th overall pick of the Winnipeg Jets, Cole Perfetti. Cole Perfetti is a solid player, and I think that was something that if we saw Jake Sanderson still on the board, Winnipeg was the favorite to take him. I think a lot of people were expecting the Winnipeg Jets to take a defenseman at that 10th overall spot, but the fact that Sanderson and Drysdale were gone, they shore up the middle, and they pick up the Whitby, Ontario native, Cole Perfetti. The last 2 seasons with the OHL's Saginaw Spirit, 37 points and 74 points in consecutive seasons. His draft year, he really skyrocketed up in the, 74 points in 61 games. That's no joke. And Cole Perfetti looked legit this year. We'll see how he does. I think another year in, with the Saginaw Spirit, kind of like Jamie Drysdale, he's going to take another year to develop, and then he will be ready to go. I'm excited to see what Cole Perfetti does with the Winnipeg Jets. A lot of hype around him. Now, let's move on to the Dallas Stars, guys. The Dallas Stars are in a heck of a spot. Ben Bishop had surgery on October 21st to repair a torn meniscus. Does not sound good. In his right knee, and the Stars said rehabilitation and recovery time is approximately 5 months. So if that's the case, at best, we're looking at a scenario where he could return sometime in either, the earliest February, more likely in March or April of 2021, which is a long time. That's a far away situation. And remember, Ben Bishop is a bigger guy. So, again, you need your knees to be fully on point when you're 6'8" or 6'9". However big Ben Bishop is, that is going to have an effect on this team. And having Anton Khudobin return for the Dallas Stars was kind of a must because they don't know what they have yet in Jake Ottinger, who is their young goaltender. We will likely see back up Anton Khudobin through the first part of this season. Now, also remember, Ben Bishop turns 34 this month. Later this month, he will be turning 34 years old. Seguin also had a right hip arthroscopy and labral repairs in New York this past Monday, which was last week. The rehabilitation and recovery time is approximately 5 months. Yikes. From the date of the surgery, according to the Stars, Seguin is 28 years old. He had 13 points. He had 2 goals, 11 assists in this year's postseason with the Dallas Stars. Man, that is a tough spot. Oh, man. And then more bad news. The Stars general manager, Jim Nill, said at the end of October, right before Halloween, that Seguin's surgery had been pushed back because of the COVID virus pandemic. Oh, man, this is not good. So, again, the Dallas Stars are in a spot now. They got to have their young guys really step up. And I think we're going to see a little bit of a change of the guard for the Dallas Stars. Because this is the year we're going to have to see more from Jake Ottinger on the goaltending side of things. And we're going to need to see more from the forward depth of the Dallas Stars. Because, Seguin is one of the younger guys on this forward core for the Dallas Stars. A lot of these guys are going into their prime. Some of them even going over the edge of their prime. You look at their top 6, Radulov, Ben, Pavelski. Those guys are a little bit older. But then you look at the younger guys on the second line. Gurianov, Rupe Hintz, Jason Robertson. A much younger group on the second line. That is going to be the future of this Dallas Stars team. And the loss of Seguin definitely hurts the Dallas Stars. Hopefully he returns back at some reasonable time this season, because they really are going to miss him. It's a tough spot for the Dallas Stars when you're missing both Ben Bishop, your starting goaltender, and one of your top centers in Tyler Seguin. It's going to leave a dent in your lineup, and that's kind of how it goes, right? So, with that out of the way, guys, we're 15 minutes into our third podcast. We're going to be looking at the reverse retro jerseys. This is probably the part you guys have been waiting for. And let's get right into it. Honestly, I'm pretty excited myself. So, we're going to start off looking at these jerseys released by... Now, this is from Aesthetics, but we've seen them on Adidas Hockey. We've seen them all over the map pretty much here. Let me take a break real quick. All right, let's go. So we're going to start things off up in Minnesota. The Minnesota Wild released a jersey with a white jersey, green striping, and yellow numbering. And right away, many of you probably already know where this is going. That looks like a Minnesota North Stars jersey. I think we're going to see them bring back the North Stars look. I think it's going to be interesting because of, obviously, we've seen this with Carolina and the Hurricanes with the Hartford jersey. But the Dallas Stars, right? How is that going to work? They're going to make it work, but it's quite interesting to see how this is going to look. I wonder what they're going to probably go with the North Stars logo, I would assume. But it's going to be an interesting look for sure. Now, here's the question. Do they do the Minnesota Wild's logo with the North Stars look, which we've seen on Google? If you just look up Minnesota Wild North Stars, you will literally see that logo come up. Or will they go with the N and the star as the North Stars as that actual logo? I don't know, because we haven't seen that much yet, but that will be an interesting look. And as for a lot of these jerseys that I'm going to talk about, moving on to the Winnipeg Jets, I think they're going to do the throwback to the old Winnipeg Jets logo with a gray jersey and blue striping on the sides, which is interesting. I don't really like the idea of a gray jersey, but it's definitely different. So we'll see how it looks. I'm cautiously optimistic because it's different than a lot of these jerseys, but that also worries me a little bit as well. So we'll see how it looks, but it's going to be interesting to see how it works out for the Winnipeg Jets. Now, the New York Islanders, baby. We're going to look at the Islanders, and I'm a little bit disappointed, but I understand what they are doing here. So I think they're going to do a Navy throwback to what we saw in the early 2000s when we saw the Islanders get away from the Royal Blue for a little while, and they're going to go back to this dark navy blue look with orange striping. If this is the actual jersey, it's actually pretty cool looking, not going to lie. It's not the Fisherman. No, it is not the Fisherman. But I truly believe it is going to be 2021 in a couple of months here. In 2022, I think we're going to see, for the 50th anniversary of the New York Islanders, they were brought into the NHL in 1972. It'll be the 50-year anniversary for the Islanders. They will bring back the Fisherman jersey in 2022. So we're going to get this jersey this year, and we're going to get a Fisherman in 2022, guys. I'm calling it right now. A lot of people are calling that. We will see the Fisherman. Just hold out. We're going to have to see another throwback. We saw the Stadium Series throwback a couple years ago. We're going to see a Navy throwback from the early 2000s here. And we're going to see the Fisherman return in 2022. I'm calling it now, guys. We're going to see it. I'm not a betting man, but I would bet on that the Islanders will bring back Fisherman in the 50th anniversary year. Now, the New Jersey Devils went a little bit off the board, kind of like the Winnipeg Jets, but in a different direction. As they, I think, will be going back to a Stadium Series throwback look, which we saw the Christmas jersey, guys. We're going to see the Christmas jersey, but in green. We're going to see it as a reverse of what, it's a literal reverse retro. Instead of the red jersey with the green striping, we're going to see the green jersey with the red striping. The other way around. And I like this look. I think this is a cool jersey. This is one I might have to keep on my radar. I usually like those New Jersey Devils throwbacks because they have the white one with the green and the red. I really like that. It's a clean look. Even their new jersey, the black and white striping on the sleeves with the red, really a clean look. But I'm cautiously optimistic with this one. It's a green jersey, so we're going to have to keep our eyes on that. Now, the Chicago Blackhawks. This looks like a Stadium Series throwback from when they played the Pittsburgh Penguins. That's what this looks like. We're going to see probably something similar to that. It's going to be interesting to see. Do they go with a red logo, and possibly tarnish that logo that they have by just having it as a red layout, and then you've got the red striping and a black jersey? We're going to have to wait and see, but it's going to be interesting with the Blackhawks. Do they maybe go with the Chicago tribal logo, that big C with the sticks going through the middle of it? That would be kind of interesting. So, going to be interesting to see what the Blackhawks do here. Toronto fans, you probably have clicked out of this video or you stopped following me because of recent situations, but the Maple Leafs, guys, they're going to go with a Winter Classic throwback. This is, that Winter Classic-esque logo, I think, will return. They got a blue jersey with white striping. Nothing too different here for the Maple Leafs, which I think is good. They're like the Red Wings. You don't want to get too far from your brand because that is just an iconic look for the Maple Leafs. I think they stick with that blue and white, different logo from a throwback, and that's all you got to do with the Maple Leafs, and it's going to look super mint. I like what we're going to see from the Leafs. Hopefully, it's not anything too crazy, but it's something a little different. That would be nice for the Leafs. The Montreal Canadiens. Now, it does not look like a Montreal Maroons jersey, but we're seeing the blue jersey with red striping, which honestly, yuck. I'm not a huge fan of. I hope they don't keep that logo they have. If they go to a Montreal Maroons logo on the front, that would be kind of cool. I'm not going to lie. Would be pretty sick. I think that's something that we could see the Habs do. That's something I'd like to see them do. Maybe a maroon, just a big M on the front of the jersey, nothing crazy, and give it that clean look that would make this jersey maybe a little bit more bearable, because looking at it, I'm not a huge fan with the red stripes and the blue jersey overall. Not my cup of tea, if I'm going to be honest. Carolina, we already talked about them a little bit. They're going to Hartford. You got the green jersey with the little blue outline on the numbers. That's just telling you, yeah, we're going back to Hartford. That's what that is. It's a clean look. We've seen it before, but we're going to see it in white this time. I like the look. They're going to go with that. Colorado, kind of the same thing. We're going to see them go back to the Nordiques. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some kind of wolf or maybe the actual Nordique logo, guys. That would be kind of interesting. But I think we're going to see the Nordique jersey return here for the Colorado Avalanche. Edmonton Oilers. They're interesting because they have a white jersey with orange striping. What could that be? I'm not totally sure. This may be a throwback to what we saw in the early 2000s. That's something that I could see the Oilers go with that copper look, that would be kind of cool. You got the white jersey with a copper striping. That would look pretty solid for the Edmonton Oilers. The Los Angeles Kings. Baby, we're going to see purple return in Los Angeles, guys. I think the LA Kings, they're going back with that royal crown logo, as well as the purple and yellow. So exciting to see that. Going to be interesting to see how the LA Kings look with that jersey. The Boston Bruins, we've already gotten a sneak peek into what the Bees are doing with their jersey. It's going to be a throwback, basically to the Neely days in Boston. A really clean jersey. Got the Paddington shoulders, the Paddington Bear jerseys. You got on the shoulders, a really clean look. Easy dub here for the Boston Bruins. The Vegas Golden Knights, guys, we're going to see the Vegas Star return as the main logo here, or be the main focus. We've already heard about this rumor. It's going to be a red jersey, black striping on the sides. It's going to be an interesting look on Vegas because we're so used to them wearing all gold or white. But this is going to be a change here for the Golden Knights for the first time since they came into the NHL back in 2018. So it's going to be interesting to see how that looks. Now we got the Anaheim Ducks. We've already been hearing the rumors about this. You've got the little bit of eggplant as well as that teal. We're going to see a throwback to the Mighty Wing, which was a very popular jersey in the 90s. Well, It's more popular now, but it was a very polarizing jersey back in the day. People thought it was either ugly or gorgeous, and it's definitely become more of the gorgeous side of things over the past couple of decades. We're going to see Mighty Wing return. Guys, I'm going to be picking that up. No questions asked. The Philadelphia Flyers, this is a very interesting look because it's a reverse of what we saw from their Winter Classic or Stadium Series against Pittsburgh a couple years back, where you had the full black jersey and the orange striping, which I thought was pretty clean. But if I remember a couple years ago, I went to a Hershey Bears outdoor classic game in 2019, 2018. I don't even remember. I lost track of time. But the Phantoms had a very clean orange rush jersey. It was a full orange jersey with black striping. It was the other way around. And it looks like the Flyers could go in that direction. Guys, I'm going to be picking this up. This is a clean look, and I've been looking so hard for that Phantoms jersey because of that look. It's just very, I don't know what it is. I think I just love orange jerseys, guys. But that is a clean look. The Flyers are winning with this one and running away with it. I like the look for the Flyers. A good retro reverse for the Philadelphia Flyers. But again, if we go to that jersey that we saw in that picture a couple months back, if that's what we're going to see, I'm going to be very disappointed, guys, if I'm going to be honest. So if what we saw a couple months ago, and I made the video about it, if that's what we end up seeing, like I said, I'm going to be a very unhappy camper. But that's how it goes. St. Louis, guys, this is easy. Easy. You just look at the way you got the red jersey, the blue striping, the yellow numbers. It's a Kansas City Scouts throwback, guys. We're going to see the Scouts get a revamp of their jersey here with the St. Louis Blues. It's going to be interesting to see how this looks. Again, do they go with the Kansas City Scouts logo, or do they just use that color scheme and continue to use the Blues logo? That's what we're going to have to wait and see, but interesting look for sure for the St. Louis Blues. The Pittsburgh Penguins, we already know what the Penguins are doing. Pittsburgh word mark across the middle. We see that return for the Penguins in the Steel City. White jersey, a little bit of yellow on the striping on the sides. Just a throwback to what we saw Mario Lemieux and the Penguins wear in the 90s. Nothing too crazy here. It is a clean look, though, and you, as well as you have the Penguin logo on both shoulders. Moving on, the Washington Capitals. This is interesting, guys. Now, we don't know much about the Washington Capitals. You have the red jersey with the blue striping like the Montreal Canadiens, which honestly I think is ugly. The Blue Jackets did this as well as I'm watching. I'm not a fan of that at all. Guys, this is a good opportunity for the Capitals. Do they go with a throwback to the Capitals Capitol logo, where we see the Capitol building and everything, or do they go back to one of the Eagle logos? Do they go to the throwback full-body Eagle we saw back in the 90s? Or do we see them go with the current modern-looking Eagle logo on the front chest? Guys, that is one of my favorite logos in the league. I have the hat of it. I don't even like the Capitals that much. They're the Islanders' rival. Why would I like the Capitals? I do like Ovechkin, but that logo is just unbelievable. And I think we're going to see the Washington Capitals. They got to incorporate that Eagle logo. And if they don't incorporate the Eagle logo, at least bring back the Capitol Dome building. That would be a clean logo on the front of the jersey as well. But based off of the color scheme, I'm already a little bit nervous about this jersey for the Capitals. Guys, this is probably my most excited one. I am the most excited for the Arizona Coyotes. We just saw them bring back the Kachina. Guys, we're going to see a throwback. If you have not seen the Desert Dog logo, guys, this is the epitome of unbelievable 90s jerseys in the NHL. You got the purple jersey and that amber, orangey, rustic, color scheme on the striping on the sides. This is a no-brainer. We're going to see the return of the Desert Dog logo. And if you look up online, you got the Arizona Coyotes Desert Dog jersey. You're going to see the full body, the full head of the Desert Dog, as well as the desert landscape on the bottom of the jersey. Guys, if they bring this back, I will spend money on that jersey because this is very, very clean from what they had in the 90s. If they are really going to bring this back, Oh man, guys, that is going to be at the top of my list for sure. So I'm very excited to see what goes on with the Coyotes. Cautiously optimistic because again, they could really blow this one up in my face and I end up being really disappointed. But based off of what we're seeing here, there's the potential to be a very, very decent, very cool looking jersey out of the Coyotes. San Jose Sharks. This one's intriguing. You've got the teal as well as the tealing as the stripes, and you've got like a light gray as the main point of the jersey. I assume this is a throwback to what we saw in the early 2000s, late 90s, where you saw the black shark as the main logo. Do we see that return here for the Sharks? I think we could, and I think that would be a pretty cool look because they did incorporate gray on that jersey. So I think this is just a throwback to their expansion team and the jersey and logo that they had then. So expect to see that from the San Jose Sharks. Dallas Stars, guys. It's just going to... I don't know what they're going to do here because we saw their initial logo when they came to the NHL. When we saw the resurrection of a team in Dallas. It's going to be interesting to see here what this looks like because you got green and white, which is basically the jersey they have now. Do they do the Dallas word mark? Do they do that weird Dallas logo where the top of the star is an A and you've got Dallas running across? I don't know. But I assume they're going to do one of those logos as a throwback. But I guess we're going to have to wait and see, right? Because they really didn't give us much in this little aesthetics look. Columbus, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Guys, they're an interesting team because you don't have a ton of history with the Blue Jackets and their logos. Do they go with a cannon logo as the main focal point? You've got the red jersey and the blue striping like the Capitals and the Canadiens, which I'm not a fan of. I've already mentioned that. But it's going to be interesting. Do you go with the Bumblebee logo? And I'm talking about when they came into the NHL, their expansion logo, it was their mascot as the focal point on the jersey. Do they do that just as a fun, crazy jersey? That would be interesting. But are they going to actually go with that? I don't know. I think the safer bet, they go with the cannon as the main logo. We're going to have to wait and see how it looks, though. Even if they use the Ohio State flag, that would be pretty cool as well. We're going to have to wait and see what the Blue Jackets are up to there because they didn't really give us much in this little teaser. The Ottawa Senators, guys, they just have a brand new main logo and a main jersey. We're going to see another jersey here, and are we going to see the return of an old Sens logo here? Because you've got the Golden Knights gold as the striping and a red jersey. This is very unique, and if they really are going with this color scheme, it's going to look very interesting for the Ottawa Senators. I'm excited to see what they do. Do they go with that word mark, the Sens across the middle? Do they go with the old Sens logo? So it's going to be interesting to see what the Senators do here. But I really I'm intrigued by the Senators and what they may have up their sleeve here. The Florida Panthers. Guys, are we going to see the return of their expansion logo, the full-body Panther? Do we see that return? I think we could see that in this jersey. It is a clean look. They were due for a new jersey, a new modern look. They did change that with the coat of arms Florida Panthers under their new Vinny Viola ownership. But I got to admit, the Florida Panthers do have a clean look. They're going to go back to that expansion look with their new jersey. The New York Rangers, guys, we're going to see the Statue of Liberty. Lady Liberty will return for the New York Rangers in this jersey. You have a red jersey with the red striping and that dark blue look as the main focal point. This is a killer for the New York Rangers. You've got to bring back Lady Liberty. Anything else, Rangers fans and fans, Islander fans, even me, an Islander fan, are going to be disappointed if you do not bring back Lady Liberty. It's time, guys. It's been 2 decades. We have been waiting for this for a long time. Bring back Lady Liberty in New York, guys. It's been way too long. Calgary Flames, guys. We got the black jersey with the red striping. This is easy for me. We have to see the horsehead logo return for the Calgary Flames. The Calgary Flames don't have a defined logo besides the flaming C, which we've seen for so long now, for the past 2 decades. Bring back the horsehead, guys. It's taken too long. Even if you do a redesign of it where it's a full body horse, that would be pretty cool as well. But bring back the horse head, guys. This is a no-brainer for the Calgary Flames. Detroit Red Wings, this is interesting. I wrote down retro to what exactly, because they've had the Detroit Red Wing, the what do they call it? The wheel. They've had the winged wheel for so long. What other logo could they possibly have? The octopus? I don't really know if they're going to do that exactly. You have a white jersey, gray striping, and red numbering. So I don't really know where the Detroit Red Wings are going with this. Does Stevie Yzerman have a plan where it's just going to be a gray jersey in the striping, a white, and then you got the red logo and red numbering? That would be quite cool. But really, retro reverse for the Red Wings is not really a thing. They've been red and white all the way through. So we'll see what they have up their sleeve on this one. Nashville Predators, we got the yellow jersey returning as well as the blue numbering. And this is not far from what they have currently, but I want to see them return the crackhead Nashville Predator logo. That would be pretty interesting because that's a pretty iconic logo for the Predators. Their expansion draft logo, they got to return that, and that would be a pretty cool look. Just something different from what we've seen from the Nashville Predators over the past, really the last decade and a half now. The Buffalo Sabres. Now, the Buffalo Sabres have, it almost looks like a Maple Leafs jersey. You have the blue jersey, or the blue striping, and the white jersey overall. Guys, I'm going to say it right here. I'd love to see the return of Buffa Slug. I think it's due. Buffalo fans may be saying, do not bring Buffa Slug. No, we are done with that. No, guys, bring it back. I will be buying that jersey. I will be first in line for that one. Even ahead of the Coyotes, the Buffa Slug must return to Buffalo. I think it's due. It's been 2 decades. Bring back the Buffa Slug in Buffalo. Easy and said. Easy enough said right there. Vancouver Canucks. We have a green jersey, full green, and a blue striping on the sides, as well as white numbers. I think we're going to see the Vancouver Canucks bring back Johnny Canuck. Johnny C returns on the main focal point of the Canucks jersey. They have that same logo they've had. Obviously, it's been altered over the years, but I would like to see Johnny Canuck come back. We've already seen the stick and ring come back. Let's bring this back. Let's bring back Johnny Canuck on the front of this green jersey. It will be a clean look for the Vancouver Canucks. And to finish things off, guys, we're looking at the Tampa Bay Lightning. They've made some pretty nice jerseys over the years. You got a blue jersey with black striping and white numbering. Let's see that old Tampa Bay Lightning logo return. It says Tampa Bay, and you have the Lightning there. I think if you saw some kind of weather pattern, like the weather storm that we saw in the 90s, if we saw that jersey return, that will be a clean look for the Tampa Bay Lightning, guys. Give it to me. I want to see that come back, and it's a no-brainer. The Lightning are going to hit a home run with this one. I think there's a lot of potential with this, but we'll have to wait and see how it looks, right? So you guys let me know in the comments down below, what do you think of these reverse retro jerseys? Do you think this is a home run for some of these teams? Just right off the bat, I'm going to name some of the ones I really think are going to be big hitters. Minnesota's. New Jersey, I think is going to be a big one. The LA Kings with that purple. Vegas, because this is their first real, not really retro jersey, but their first fourth jersey. I think an expansion team like Vegas will get some big sells with that red jersey. Anaheim, the Mighty Wing, that's a big one. The St. Louis Blues going back to the Kansas City Scouts, I think that's going to be a good throwback. Arizona, I think the Coyotes are going to hit a big one on there. That's one to keep an eye on as well. And like I said, I think Tampa Bay is another one to keep an eye on. And the Rangers, if they bring back Lady Liberty, that's going to be a big one for the New York Rangers. So guys, let me know down below, which reverse retro jersey are you most excited for? Let me know in the comments down below. All right, so we are going to answer some questions, guys. We are going to do that right now to wrap up today's podcast. It's been a pretty successful podcast. We're almost at 40 minutes. I know you guys like the condensed version. What I may do moving forward is actually make clips during the week of clips of the podcast, and that way you could see parts of my podcast here and do it that way. So that's something I'm going to, let me know in the comments down below. Would you like to see that? That way you don't have to sit through the entire thing. But obviously, if you do sit through this, guys, I really appreciate that. You are my number one fan out there. If you have stuck around this long, much appreciated. All right, so let's get into the comments, guys. We're going to start things off looking at a Rangers fan, talking about the New York Rangers Kako versus Lafreniere video. Gregory Welsey Wesley says, so much pressure on any coach with this much young, can't miss talent. Lias Anderson is the first casualty. Hedel and Kravtsov could be next. Yikes. Keandre Miller and Lundqvist better develop. So the true question for the Rangers is Quinn the right coach? He's been great for Zibanejad, but that's it. Panarin can produce no matter who's calling the shots. Kreider didn't improve, but Strome did. The question is the youth. Can they reach their potential and win under Quinn, the way Kane, Taves, Seabrook, Keith, and Corey Crawford did under coach John Quenneville? This is a very good question, dude. And I totally agree with you. Honestly, I've been talking to Ranger fans. Thank you, Gregory Wesley. I keep messing up. Gregory Wesley. Thank you so much for that question. All right, so dude, you have a very good point. I've been debating this with Ranger fans for a long time. That Coach Quenneville, now I'm calling him Pat Quinn. David Quinn is a good coach for the young guys to develop them. But when we talk about winning a Stanley Cup, that is not the guy that is going to win a Stanley Cup with the New York Rangers. I'm calling it right now. David Quinn is a good developmental coach for some of these young guys, but you hit it right on the head, dude. I do not think he will be the Rangers head coach in the next 2 to 3 years. Like you said, he has helped Zibanejad. But let's be honest, Zibanejad was still very young. He was a good player in Ottawa. I mean, we all make it like he was this terrible player with the Senators. No, he was a good player. And Derek Brassard was a good player for the Rangers when they traded him to Ottawa. Now, obviously, Brassard fell off a lot quicker than Zibanejad has. Zibanejad has only produced more with the New York Rangers. But I agree with you. I think David Quinn is one of those coaches where, he's a Boston College guy, and it makes sense with the Rangers. The Rangers want that kind of blue-collar, professional look down there in Manhattan. It makes sense. But I really do not think he is the guy long-term for the New York Rangers. And I think a lot of Ranger fans are going to disagree with me and you on that statement. But I see it already on the wall. I don't think David Quinn long-term for the Rangers is their guy. So thank you for the comment, dude. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Gregory Wesley, I keep doing that. Why do I keep doing that? I appreciate the support, brother. Much love. All right, so they got a couple of angry Leaf fans, which is always good, guys. So we got some feedback on that. Let's look. Okay, so I talked about the best California teams in the 2021 NHL season, and we got a comment from a Kings fan, LA Kings fanatic. I assume he's a Kings fan here. He said, the Kings have the brightest future out of the three in Cali. They have the deeper and more talented draft pool. Drysdale will be solid for Anaheim for sure. I agree that my Kings will miss the playoffs, but I would not mind another top 5 pick to go to a defenseman or a winger in the 2021 draft. Keep up the solid work, bro. Thank you, my man, LA Kings fanatic. You're the man. Yeah, you know what? I agree, and that's why I think I was expecting honestly more controversy from that video as well. I was looking for stir up a little bit of shit this past week. Honestly, the Kings, they're probably the second worst team. And I think, I don't know, I have this weird feeling about the San Jose Sharks. On paper, they have a decent roster. But then you look at what they have, I keep looking at their futures and their injuries. We've seen Logan Couture and Tomas Hertl both go down with injuries last year. Brent Burns and Erik Karlsson, where are they at? Are they done? Are they like I don't even know what the situation is with them. I think that's going to be an issue for the San Jose Sharks because you're paying them a lot of money. Erik Karlsson, man, the Ottawa Senators dodged the bullet. We gave Eugene Melnyk a lot of crap for getting rid of this guy. 11.5 for forever right now does not look that good right now for the Senators, for the Sharks. They sold Brent Burns for the next 5 years till he's 40 years old. Oh, man. I'd love to be Doug Wilson right now. This is a tough spot, man. They have the team that can do it, but then you look at the depth behind Burns. You got Burns, Karlsson, and Vlasic, And then you have Radim Simic, who looked decent at times, Mario Ferraro, and Jacob Middleton. So, like, we don't really know much about those guys. And up front, Logan Couture, Evander Kane, Timo Meyer, Tomas Hertl, Kevin LeBanc. Everybody else, it's kind of fringe players. So, we're going to have to wait and see. I think the biggest issue for the Sharks, we talk about this every year, and you guys, that goaltending is crap. Martin Jones for another 4 years at almost $6 million per? Get out of here. They're screwed with the goaltending situation. I don't think Martin Jones is that good. And Devon Dubnick, another year at 34. He's 34 years old. He's going to retire after this season. He's not that good. He really struggled with the Wild last year, and he's really not on that much better of a defense here with the San Jose Sharks. So, guys, I think it's a miracle if the Sharks make the playoffs. They might have the best roster on paper out of all three of these California teams, but they're in a heap of shit moving forward, guys. The LA Kings, I like what they've got. I mean, Alex Turcotte, Quentin Byfield, Arthur Kaliev. I mean, you go down the list. Trevor Moore, the LA native. I mean, they've got Nikolai Prokhorkin went back overseas, but even the loss of him, it doesn't even hurt them that much. I mean, Blake Lazar, Gabe Velarde, he looked good at points last year. Let's take a look at some of these young guys got. Let's take a look. Turcotte, Kaliev, Tyler Madden, Quentin Byfield, Lias Anderson. I forgot about Anderson. Rasmus Kupari, he was a first-round pick. Let's take a look. Jarrett Anderson-Dolan, he was an early pick. Carl Grunstrom, a Leafs pickup they got. Cole Holtz, Tobias Bjornfot, Jordan Spence, Sean Dursey, Cal Clegg, Marcus Phillips. So there are a couple of names here for, the LA Kings in their depth chart. And the Anaheim Ducks aren't that far off in their forward depth chart, if I'm going to be honest. I really think they've got some really talented players. Troy Terry, Max Jones, Trevor Zegra. I mean, they've got some guys. Sam Steele. Sonny Milano, I think, could be a big player for the Anaheim Ducks. A former 15th overall pick back in the day by the Columbus Blue Jackets. Could not get anything going with John Tortorella. I think he had a bad relationship with him. But you look at their pipeline. Guys that will not even be in the NHL. Jacob Perreault, who they just signed. Isaac Lundestrom. Trevor Zegras. Braden Tracy, who they picked up. Maxime Comtois. Jamie Drysdale on the defensive side of things. Simone Benoit. Brendan Gooley, he's still there. Axel Anderson, former Boston Bruins prospect. So, Josh Mahura, he's still 22. So, the Anaheim Ducks, I think it's going to be a battle between the Ducks and the Kings moving forward after this year. Like I said, on paper, San Jose Sharks are probably the better team, but they're boned moving forward. After this season, they are boned. I don't know what the hell they're going to do. But I really like what the Anaheim Ducks and LA Kings are doing. There's going to be a strong rivalry between those two teams. They're going to be up and coming right around the same time over the next 2, maybe 3 years. I'm really excited to see what those teams do in California. But the San Jose Sharks, like I said, it's going to be a lot of hurt moving forward for the Sharks, or at least for the time being. So thank you, LA Kings fanatic. Go Kings, go. And I appreciate the support, brother. Let's take a look at what. Okay, so Asa Blakely, I've seen you comment here before, so appreciate the support. He said the LA Kings need to draft better. They need more talented players and good players with some good speed. And somebody commented, have you seen the last few drafts? The Kings have one of the top 3 prospect pools. Many think it's number 1. I like the comment. You weren't calling him an idiot or anything like that, so I appreciate that, man. We're all buddies here, all right? Jason White, appreciate that comment back to my buddy Asa Blakely. Yeah, dude, the LA Kings have a pretty decent prospect pool. I think, you're not seeing that right now because they still have the older guys. You still have the Jeff Carters, the Anze Kopitars, the Dustin Browns, the Drew Dowdys. That's a bad contract, but I think we could see them start to pull away that over the next year or two. I think that a lot of those guys, Jeff Carter, I think it's inevitable he goes back to Philly at some point. Anze Kopitar, I think he's going to be a forever King. He's going to retire with the LA Kings. Drew Doughty, he's stuck there. I don't think anybody's taking his contract at $11 million. So I think we're just going to see a spot here where the Kings, I think their salary cap is going to bite them in the ass long term. but I really like what we've seen from the LA Kings. So I don't disagree with you. On paper, if you look at their roster right now as it's constructed going into next season, they need more talent. But if you look at the pipeline, they have guys playing in the NCAA and the OHL and the QMJHL. They got guys all over. They will be a decent team over the next couple of years. We just have to wait for them to develop. But once they do, the LA Kings have a pretty decent prospect pool. I would say top 3. I don't know about the top. They might be, honestly, but they're right in that conversation. Definitely top 5, maybe top 3, potentially number 1 on any given day. I really like what the LA Kings have done. Rob Blake, he turned that team around, and Dean Lombardi did a number on this team with some of those contracts, the Luch contract, just a couple of weird things he did, but he's been able to turn it around. Rob Blake has done a very good job changing the culture there in LA, and I think we're going to see that continue for the Kings over the next couple of seasons. All right, so we're done talking about the Kings, guys. Too much. Let's take a look. Okay, so back to that Kako and Lafreniere video. Rangers 94-ism. That's an interesting name. I guess that's when they won the cup, right? He said, that third line looks really exciting. I can't wait for the season to start. Brother, that's everybody. Everybody's waiting for this season to start. The question is, when will it start? I think they're projecting January 1st again. They were saying, a couple weeks ago it was going to be February or March. Now they're going back to January, but a condensed season and maybe a lockout shortened season. Guys, who knows anymore? But it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Yes, I agree. The optimism is there. That third line for the Rangers, guys, there's a lot of talent on. Talk about deep prospect pools. The Rangers got to be in that conversation. As much as I hate that as an Islander fan to say that, dude, they have a decent group. You look at that third line: Hedl, Lafreniere, Gauthier, whoever's in that mix. I mean, jeez, they got some talented players. So as much as I hate, this is how it works. As much as I hate the Rangers, I want to see a strong rivalry between the Islanders and the Rangers. And if the Rangers and the Islanders are good, and the Islanders are beating the Rangers, it feels that much better because it just looks that much cleaner. And listen, these two teams have beat the crap out of each other over the past couple of years. The Islanders winning like 13 straight. The Rangers winning like 5 straight. It's just a back and forth depending on who's the coach and this and that and the matchups. Man, though, I'm excited to see what the Rangers and the Islanders rivalry looks like with Shesterkin and Sorokin in between the pipes, the Russian goaltenders. They were rivals in the KHL, rivals in the NHL. Man, we are in for a heck of a run with that goalie rivalry over the next couple of years. So thank you, Rangers94ism, for your comment. Appreciate the support, brother. Guys, my number one fan, Ali Desh. We are going back to my boy. We always have to bring him in these comments here to end the video. We got Ali Desh. There's still no end in sight for COVID. Anyone who thinks there's going to be an 82-game season is in for a rude awakening. And he said, because I said in the video, and the Lakers won their championship, whatever it's called. Yeah, I don't know what is it the NBA championship? I don't even know what it's called. That's why I love you, bro. And that's why I love you, bro. Ali Dash, always commenting on my videos, always poking fun at me. Man, you're a good sport, though. Thanks, Ali Dash, for your comments, as usual. And you know what? Justin Van Kirk, he's been leaving prospect link, good team prospects. Let's take a look at this. He left a link. I just want to make sure it's a real link. It's not some, some cam girl thing. I don't know. Let's take a look. Justin Van Kirk. Now it's not going to load. So now it makes me a little bit suspicious. I put you on the spot here, Justin, and now I have some weird team. Oh, okay, Gravity. So he left Gravity's prospect rankings. I appreciate that because he does. I mean, Gravity. I love the YouTubers. I don't really watch the other YouTubers that much, because I want everything that I do to be authentic and what I do. I don't want to copy anybody else and what they do. But I appreciate that, Justin Van Kirk. Yeah. Oh, I got to talk about Slippery Fish Aquatics. He's been very good. Supporter of the New York Islanders on the West Coast up in Seattle. So I just want to leave what he wrote this week. He said, great videos. I heard another rumor. Seems like every sentence starts with that these days. You couldn't have said that any better. What is news nowadays, right? Can't believe everything you hear on the internet. I think we've been saying that for a long time, but people still believe everything they hear for some reason. Get the facts, guys. Get the facts. That the NHL was going to do another version of the bubble and play all of this season in Canada. Did you hear anything like that? Matt G. Thank you, Matt G, or Slippery Fish Aquatics, whatever your name is. I appreciate the support, buddy. Yeah, dude, we don't know what's going on for next season. The NHL is in such a weird spot right now in terms of what we're going to see next year. Like I said, I'm concerned about the NHL next year. And the fact that we've heard multiple owners supposedly, because again, this is rumor, multiple owners have come out and said that they would like to see the season locked out next season. Which, what are you talking about? Now, I don't really find that to be true, because if that were true, it just doesn't make sense. Those teams are losing money. Think about these buildings that have to be paid. A lot of owners own the building, and they have to pay for an entire year of that property and get nothing in return. Get out of here. They're not going to do that. They want a season. So the fact that I've been hearing those rumors that owners don't want to have a season next year, guys, I hate to be that guy, but it sounds like fake news. We are going to see an NHL season next year, whether it's a week long, whether it's 2 weeks long, whether it's a 41-game season and playoffs, which I think we're at that point right now, a 41-game season and playoffs. I think it's going to be interesting to see how this works. Do we maybe see the wild card come back where we have that weird, the play-in round? Do we see that? Because if it's a 41-game season or even a 30-game season based off of maybe games being canceled due to positive testing or something like that, you have to play a minimum of 30 games, a 41-game schedule, and you have a play-in round scenario. Now, here's the problem, because you mentioned that it has to be in Canada. The problem is we can't have everybody crossing borders. The borders are very tight right now between the United States and Canada based off of, obviously, governmental controls and things like that. I was going to say something else. I stopped myself. But, guys, I think the Canadian border is becoming an issue, or the American border on the Canadian side is becoming an issue, because now we're running into the problem where you can't go through customs constantly like we've seen these guys go through. The only time we heard about customs regularly on the NHL was if a guy had drugs on him when he was going through customs. And besides that, nobody heard anything about the border all that much. Which, whatever, I mean, it's stupid, but that's how this goes. So if we're going to see an NHL season, it's going to have to be either played singly in the United States or in Canada entirely. So we've heard about the division alignment where you just play teams in your division and that's it. I don't know how you do playoffs that way, but maybe they wait till that point. Maybe the regular season they do divisional hockey and then you branch out once you get into the playoffs. Maybe we see something like we saw in the NFL. Guys, this is my little thought here. We see it in the NFL, we see it in the MLB. You have your 4 divisions, right? Oh, I hit the mic. You have your 4 divisions, right? Whoever wins that division gets into the playoffs, okay? And then you have 2 wild card spots, so you got 6 spots. No, that doesn't work. You need to have 2 on each side. So here's the thing. You can do it a couple of different ways, but the main way you want to do it, if you have just 4 teams and you have your 4 divisional opponents, they go to, say, Toronto, or they go to New York, or they go to Boston, or they go to Vancouver, or they go to Edmonton, wherever they end up going. You have those 4 teams that win their division. Those 4 division winners play each other. You have the 2 Eastern Conference, 2 Western Conference, they play each other. And you have 1 and 1. They play each other in the final. It's not a regular Stanley Cup final. I understand that. But this is one of those years. If you want to see a Stanley Cup champion, that may be a scenario. I'm not saying that's the scenario I want. I'm not saying that's the scenario that will happen, because obviously I haven't heard much on that front. But I think that's something that we could, at the very least, blue sky look at. So if we do see that scenario, you got the divisional teams, they all play each other. And like the NFL and like the MLB, the division winners, 4 division winners, they go up to Edmonton, play each other, and there's the Stanley Cup. Bada bing, bada boom, you're done. So I think we could see that scenario for sure. Is that the scenario I want? Is that the scenario you probably want? Probably not. It's too far away. What is this world gonna look like in 5 months from now? Last January, who would have thought 2020 would be the year that it would be? Because I can assure you, it has not been the best of years. Obviously, with the whole COVID thing affecting a lot of situations, kind of blew up this summer. My Penn State football team was heavily affected by COVID, and they're not doing so good right now, so I'm not feeling that great about that. The Islanders had a great playoff run, so I'm happy about that. And we saw a Stanley Cup champion here in 2020. We saw the MLB playoffs get finished. Congratulations to the LA Dodgers winning their championship. And then you've also got the NBA where the Lakers won. So we were able to see leagues finish, which is positive. You have to look at the positives. Despite all the negativity in today's world, we do have some positives. And you know, it really shows us, and this is a little bit of a rant, but guys, this shows us who the real people are. If you can deal with controversy, if you can overcome that, those are the people that will show up in the end. Again, it sounds like motivational, whatever, but guys, if you've made it through most of this year, we are now into November. We have another month of 2020. I can't imagine 2021 being any bit worse. I don't think that's possible. So guys, let me know in the comments down below, what do you think of Goal Line Hockey Podcast episode number 3? A little bit of ranting at the end there, but what do you think of the reverse retro jerseys, the Dallas Stars, the pair of signings, the entry-level contracts for the Anaheim Ducks, as well as some of these comments? What do you think of this week's podcast? We're always trying to grow this. We got over an hour today. Jeez, we really killed it today. So I appreciate the support, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.